Light Out of Darkness, the Coalfields of the Northeast on film. The Northern Film and Television Archive. Price £2.50. And it was published in 1987. I have no idea where I picked this up from. I've obviously had it a very long time. I think I've had it about 30 years, because I think I picked it up around the time it came out. About 3 years after this came out, I was actually shooting down the coal mines and working for the NCB. So I experienced firsthand what it's like to work, I think, 1,800 feet below the surface and about 6 miles out to sea on the face in the North Sea from Monk Weymouth Colliery. I do have some of the pictures kicking around somewhere, and I'm trying to maybe put it into a little booklet. I don't think I've got enough for a book, but a little booklet myself. I think at the time I picked this up, it was very relevant to what I was doing and what I was thinking, and I wanted to do some stuff on industry, and then I got roped in with the NCB. Sadly, the colliery was mothballed in the 90s, and it became the Stadium of Light. I thought there was something good to come out of it, and sadly a lot of men lost their jobs. So where the Sunderland football ground is now, underneath that was the Monk Weymouth Colliery. So let's have a look through this. If anybody can tell me on the feeds if this is important, if it's rare, is it something which somebody can inform me and give me some information about, and if there's where the film is and stuff like that, I'll check out on YouTube if I can find anything on this. So let me just run through some of it. This book has been produced by Sue Kennedy and Kevin Brown of the Northern Film and Television Archive. Photography by Sue Kennedy and Jerry McCulloch. Thanks for British Coal for permission to reproduce stills taken from the copyright films. So I guess it's a sort of an accumulation of video footage, TV footage, which was brought together to produce a documentary, maybe, as a TV show, a TV program, or as an exhibition. I don't really know. The Light Out of Darkness, the Coalfields of the North East. Let's just have a look through it. A lot of the quality in this stems from the fact that they photographed them from the TV screen by the looks of it. And you can imagine 1987, the quality wasn't that great of the TV. You can see all the pixelations and the lines in it. 2,900 new conveyors were put into the pits in 1947 and 1948. So let's just have a look through it. I don't really want to go mega into it, because I just wanted to put it on here to see if I could evoke somebody's memory and find out a little bit more about this and itself. There's a lot of text, a lot of deep text as well. So now we're looking at, we're showing an 800 cinemas, half the cinemas written at the time. Okay. On New Year's Day 1947, the nation's coal mines became the property of the people, the National Coal Board. And that's who I work for, like 30, 40 years later. There's that. Blade and burn as many down pits for Narra, where narrow seams have to be worked. God, I know, being in the pit face when I was there, gosh, it was so hot and dark, and the men there, I would just go down for 3 hours at a time. It would take about 25 minutes to get to the front from the surface, longer. These guys were down there for massive, like 10 hours or something, you know, and they're such men, you know. It's just like, I was there for 3 hours, and I was like finished by the time I got back up. Imagine doing that every day. I did it a few times, and it's not a great life, you know. And this is a lot of pigeon racing stem from the coal mining communities as well, and that's what I was interested in, that side of taking something else away from the community and finding out what I could work with the people of them communities. On the way to getting results was to open drift mines where the coal lay just under the surface. all plans and machines in the world are useless if they are not meant if they're not the men to handle them. That is a drill going in. I mean, totally agree with that. Behind every ship are hands and skills of workers, of the miners who dug the coal. Shipbuilding at Sunderland. Now, I wonder if that is Pallion or just before the bridge. Either side of that, next to it, that could be down where the dry dock is. So you've got the mouth of the river there, and then the sort of comes in there, and then the dry dock, and then you sort of line up with the river, then the ground, then the bridge, and then the football ground. And the football ground was where the coal was, and then right from there, right through the Pallion yards, right down to the docks under the bridge was where this could be. I think I've got the last ever ferries photographs of the last ever Norwegian ferries going out of the Sunderland harbour. Join the miners. For the chap who wants to get on, join the miners, the recruitment process. Easington is one of the first residential training centres for boys. Wow, I didn't realise that. I know Easington is a massive colliery area, and I know it well, and I lived near there when I was younger. The lads and work played in a miniature community. So Easington residential training. It's like the army, it's getting them sort of militarised for work underground. Wow. You've got to be a miner to understand how drastic and final are the effects of a pit closure. Believe me, I've been part of a pit community which went down, and it was tragic. Some of the displaced men would be taken into the pits and pushing out under the sea along our coast, but many will have to leave their native County Durham in the miners' transfer scheme. This transfer scheme went on for years in other areas of work. I remember in the 80s where the men were shipped around the country for work, but there was no work, and I know my uncle was an electrical engineer up in the north, and he was made redundant, I think, from Ready Fusion or somewhere like that, a big TV repair company, and he was shipped out to the south to get work. They didn't have the manpower down there into more remote regions of like Norfolk and places like that, and he's still there to this day. It's interesting. We aim to satisfy them, you can't find security against us. We aim to satisfy them, they can find security with us, again with us, minus transfer schemes. So I guess this is the industry, it's showing the transition of the trust and the beauty and the coming together of work, and the disbandment of mines, the mothballing, and this is still in 1960s as well. So I'm looking at stuff there. Oh man, it's moved to Bristol, interviewed about their new lives. So I guess it's shifting around manpower around the country, because when you get a big area like Sunderland, there's tons of catchment. But maybe a smaller places they need to get some of the city guys out there to work with them. I presume that's usually, I think, the pit head there where the wheel is, and they bring up the lifts and the cage and stuff. I've been in them a few times. That 1948, unless this is text from 1948 and this looks like the 60s, that could be 1957, one of the last to move from the old village, West Wylam. Maybe I should read a little bit about this, but I'm going to read this again properly. Classic sort of West Wylam and North East streets. After every shift there is a drill for Johnny, with Jenny in attendance with buckets of water. 26 Tyne Street. I remember the showers in Monk Weymouth, and I was absolutely covered in soot and dirt and muck and sweat, but I remember coming out of a shift with all the guys and just being in the showers with all these men, like just big burly men who were just black and dirty and covered in like that 12-hour shift or something, and I'm like here with dirty hands, and just felt so inferior. A very good move in Prudhoe. Taking the time to have Mr. Shinwell, Minister of Fuel and Power. I think, this is a coming together of the industry. This is a book to show the coming together, the solidarity, the organisation, what went behind it, the importance of our coal industry at the time in 1987. Remember in 1987, I think we were in the middle of a massive economic upturn, and collieries were being questioned. A lot of heavy working scenarios like steel, shipbuilding were all under scrutiny. I think around the time of 87, the shipyards were closing down, and in and around Sunderland and Newcastle, it was just like on a downturn. And I wonder if this was produced to show the solidarity of the community, the lead growers, the brass band, the coming together for a beer afterwards, the banners, the marching, the healthcare, the family scenario. There's a sort of propaganda thing, isn't it? It's interesting. And I look back at this, it looks so ancient. And I'm pleased I had some part of this. I'm pleased somewhere in my history I've been able to go down these coal mines and witness it. Even if it was the very end, the very last stages of the coal mines and the shipyards. But I've witnessed it, and I feel a bit privileged to have witnessed that. I've been down other mines in South America, and I've worked down mines, and it isn't pretty. It's not something I would ever want to do day out and day in. But being a photographer, and I'm sure there's a lot of photographers who listen to this, if you've got that else better to do, but who will agree, what I'm about to say, that being a photographer gives you a privilege to open the doors and get an insight into the life of other people. And photography is a real privilege. Filmmaking and being in this area is a real privilege, because we get to know and understand a lot about life. And we're not perfect, but some of us take away something with it, with our photographs and our visual, our visuals and the things we take away. Hopefully we can share them with other people to give them some insight. But the beauty of being a photographer is you get first-hand information, and it's wonderful. And anyway, I just thought I'd show this and talk about some of it the best I can. But if anybody can give me more info on this, I'd be really, really appreciative of that. If you can put it in the comments, that would be marvellous. Thank you.